Hello, everyone. I don't do any for a few days, then I'll do two or three in a day. I decide how I want to do that, right? Yes, I'd like to remind everyone, once again, doing this for the reputation of God. The disinformation, misrepresentation that I find when it comes to our Heavenly Parent is running amok out there. Yes? Yeah. So I started this condition, yes, for the reputation of my most beloved Heavenly Parent. And that is that. So came across, it's been coming up. I've been wanting to talk about it, keep forgetting, and it just came up again. And that is, do AIs have actually a consciousness? Are they conscious? So the one thing, okay, with I've been really hooked. I'm honest about it. Uh, I like watching international shows, especially the Asian ones. Hey, look. Uh, Hey, look. I love, especially the historical Asian dramas and stuff. I love the clothes. I love them. I love the hairstyles. I love the guys with their long hair. I just do, okay? It is what it is. And oh, would I want to have lived in that era? Or most of it is just made up. I get that too. No, not really. Too much drama, too much trouble to get dressed and all that. I'm perfectly happy in my era. But I love watching it. And every once in a while I come across something that then I'm going, oh, is this based some on historical facts? And I'm going to study up on it. And I've got some good knowledge out of it, yes. But then there are these short ones. So usually the dramas they run for X episodes. I remember when I started this. How can you make a drama with 80 episodes in a year? Right? I'm just saying. I'm just, oh my gosh, yeah, or more. Then and it's usually the beginning is really interesting and the ending is really interesting, but the middle gets really bland and boring and okay. But anyway, so they did things to how they did, so that's fine. Anyway, then they start making shorter ones, and now they have some really short ones. But it looks like some of them are older, and they a lot. There's about 10 different themes, and you can watch tons and tons of these. They're about 2 hours long, 2 to 3 hours long. These short dramas, right? And they don't come in a full screen. It's all just right, and that's the reason in the beginning we're not what that's like, gosh, do I need to see a face like this like this? Okay. Anyway, and there's about 10 themes, and there's got to be thousands of these little videos out there. And Chinese, they're all Chinese. Yes, well, they pop them out, I tell you. And 20, 30 of them, all the same theme, just a little bit different, right? Anyway, so I've been watching those and got kind of hooked on them, right? Yeah, forward a lot, but still, and some of them are good, a lot of it has to do on how a woman, gets cheated by her husband or boyfriend and mistreated, and then they're reborn, and then they get their revenge, right? Hey, look, they're okay. Anyway, it's kind of silly, right? But also, I crochet, while I watch those. I don't have to pay too much attention to it, but I have to read subtitles, and the subtitles are so bad. Good thing is that I do understand now a little bit of Chinese, so I do get some of the gist of it in the Chinese language. But then with the subtitles, I get it. I don't get everything, but I get it. But here's the thing. So they're talking about AI, and first just AI. You program these supercomputers, and then they should be just about perfect, right? Yes. Well, one of the first things, wouldn't it be, you test them on language skills. And no doubt that these supercomputers, these AIs, right, you give them in all these languages, right? All the languages, all the words, the grammar, right, and all that. And then they should, what's the big deal when they translate, when it gets translated, that an AI can't do it right? The translations are so bad and confusing, and for some reason, I know why that is when it comes to the Chinese language on male and female. Okay? They don't really, there seems to be no difference there in a way, right? The translations are so bad, you never know. Okay, well, surely they weren't talking about the brother, but the sister. Surely they weren't talking about the wife, but the husband, and vice versa. And as I said, the relationship thing is devoid, is completely devoid. You have to literally figure it out on your own while watching, right? On who they're talking about, who the translation is talking about. Oh, interesting. So a supercomputer programmed for languages to translate languages is not capable of discerning gender issues. When it comes to the appropriate words in the translated language on what is a wife, a husband, a sister, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, and so on, a child even. I find that very, very interesting on how they're not capable of doing that. It's not happening. So, are AIs really that smart? I mean, when you want to talk about an individual entity as an entity, no, they can't be. There is no consciousness. There's no awareness when it comes to the relationship of people. It's not a possibility. And anyone that has watched these AI translated shows knows that. Yes. Interestingly, and the ones that are really, really well translated, no doubt, there's very well done, this and that, are the ones where they show who translated it. And it's always a person who actually has full control over both languages and knows how to interpret from one language to the other language appropriately. And an AI can't do that. Interesting? Well, there you have it. Okay. I'm just saying. Let's get going. In the book of Baruch 4, Super Chapter 3, the complaints and hopes of Jerusalem. Take courage, my people, memorial of Israel. You were sold to the nations, but not for extermination. Wait a minute. Didn't we read again and again and again on how everybody would be destroyed? Oh, not God said that. Supposedly God said it, but it wasn't God who said that. Here it's now, but not for extermination. You provoked God, and so were delivered to your enemies. Someone telling you, because now this happens. But it isn't just, well, you did something wrong and these are the consequences. It's because you provoked God. Wow. Okay. That's... How wrong is that? Pull God into it again. Yes? How wrong is that? I'm amazed on how these words made it into the Bible to slander God. That's slander. And with all the theologians out there, all the priests, pastors, reverends, who knows what, that are so dependent on the Bible, advertise the Bible. Where is their heart and mind when it actually comes to God? that they're not addressing things like this. Well, here I am. I'm doing it. You provoked God, and so were delivered to your enemies, since you had angered your Creator by offering sacrifices to demons and not to God. Yeah, wow. I don't know who their God is. Mine's not doesn't act like that. You had forgotten the eternal God who reared you. You had also grieved Jerusalem, who nursed you. Jerusalem. What does Jerusalem have to do with any? Oh my gosh! Now they're throwing a town into the same level as God. Okay, For when she saw God's anger falling on you, she said, "This is the town Jerusalem talking. Are you kidding me?" What did I talk about at the AIs? Yeah, that's so wrong. Listen, you neighbors of Zion, God has sent me great sorrow. I have seen my sons and daughters taken into captivity, which the Eternal brought down on them. I had reared them joyfully in tears and sorrow. I watched them go away. Do not, any of you, exult over me. I, a widow, deserted by so many, I am bereaved, because of the sins of my children who turned away from the law of God, who did not want to know his precepts and would not follow the ways of his commandments, or tread the paths of discipline, as his justice directed. Come here, neighbors of Zion, remember my sons and daughters' captivity, which the Eternal brought down on them. How he brought a distant nation down on them, a ruthless nation, speaking a foreign language. They showed neither respect for the aged nor pity for the child. They carried off the widow's cherished sons. They left her quite alone, bereft of her daughters. For my part, how could I help you? He who brought those disasters down on you is the one to deliver you from your enemy's clutches. Wow. He who brought those disasters down on you is the one to deliver you from your enemy's clutches. This again, something like this little passage right here in the book of Baruch 4:18 gives the people an excuse to keep evil alive. That evil exists. That evil is real. He who brought those disasters down on you is the one to deliver you from your enemy's clutches. He who brought those disasters down on you. God brought evil disasters upon his own people. That's what this says here. God then also created evil. He does evil. That's what this says here. Hence, I'm reading this for the reputation of God. God never did anything like this. He was not the one who brought disaster upon the people. Never has, never will. That is that. But it's in here. Why? Good question. Go, my children, go your way. I must stay bereft and lonely. I've taken off the clothes of peace and put on the sackcloth of entreaty. All my life I shall cry to the Eternal. Take courage, my children, call on God. He will deliver you from tyranny, from the clutches of your enemies. For I looked, and here are the promises from whom exactly? Oh, God better deliver too then, right? Yeah, oh. What the people going to think of God if he doesn't? For I look to the Eternal for your rescue, and joy has come to me from the Holy One, at the mercy soon to reach you from your Savior, the Eternal. You know what? So here's another thing. What do we hear often? Women get beaten by their husbands or boyfriends or whatever, right? And I mean, really beaten. And then, when it's over, it's like, I'm sorry I did this to you, but if you wouldn't have, I wouldn't have to do this. But I'm so sorry. Forgive me. From the perpetrators. And then the women, oh, he didn't mean it. He didn't mean it, and now he's fixing it. Doesn't that sound like that? That's how they portray God in here. Isn't that something? Huh. Dear Lord. In sorrow and tears I watched you go away, but God will give you back to me in joy and gladness forever. Who is this talking? Baruch? It's like somebody, there's like a third person somehow. In sorrow and tears I watched you go away, but God will give you back to me in joy and gladness forever. This doesn't make sense. As the neighbors of Zion have now witnessed your captivity, so will they soon see your rescue by God, which will come upon you with great glory and splendor of the eternal. My children, patiently bear the anger brought on you by God. Your name has persecuted you, but soon you will witness his destruction and set your foot on his neck. My favorite children have traveled by rough roads, carried off like a flock by a marauding enemy. Take courage, my children, call on God. He who brought this on you will remember you. As by your will you first strayed from God, so now turn back and search for him 10 times harder. Well, now God's going to bring them back, right? Now they have to go and search for him 10 times harder. You know what? For as he has been bringing down those disasters on you, so will he rescue you and give you eternal joy. Until the time comes again when God needs to destroy them again, right? Yeah, well, because they did something wrong. And then, then God feels bad again. Oh, well, you know what? I'm sorry I did that. What did it just say about an abusive husband? Wife does nothing wrong. And just beat him up because they can. Take their mood out on them. Well, if you would not have done this, then I wouldn't have to do that. That's God. That's what they're saying here. Sounds exactly the same way, doesn't it? Take courage, Jerusalem. He who gave you your name will console you. Disaster will come to all who have ill-treated you and gloated over your fall. I'm talking here about the reputation of God, right? Whatever the Israelites did, and then on how they ended up, again and again and again, is all due to their own behavior. And the consequences followed. Well, it's just how it is. I'm talking on how they pulled God into all this. Right? Yes? Okay. Disaster will come to the cities where your children were slaves. Disaster to whichever one received your children. For just as she rejoiced at your fall, and who was happy to see you ruined, so will she grieve over her own desolation. I shall deprive her of the joy of populous city, and her insolence will turn to mourning. Fire from the Eternal will befall her for many a day, and demons will dwell in her for ages. Jerusalem, turn your eyes to the east. See the joy that is coming to you from God. Look, the children you watched go away are on their way home. Reassembled from east and west, they are on their way home, at the Holy One's command, rejoicing in God's glory. Jerusalem, take off your dress of sorrow and distress, put on the beauty of God's glory forevermore. Wrap the cloak of God's saving justice around you. Put the diadem of the Eternal One's glory on your head. For God means to show your splendor to every nation under heaven, and the name God gives you forevermore will be peace through justice and glory through devotion. Arise, Jerusalem, stand on the heights and turn your eyes on the east. See your children reassembled from west and east at the Holy One's command, rejoicing because God has remembered. At the Holy One's command. Though they left you on foot, driven by enemies, now God brings them back to you, carried gloriously like a royal throne. Who is God bringing the Israelites back to? Now God brings them back to you, carried gloriously like a royal throne. Oh, back to Jerusalem? Talking about Jerusalem, if it was a person. For God has decreed the flattening of each high mountain, of the everlasting hills, the filling of the valleys, to make the ground level, so that Israel can walk safely in God's glory. And the forests and every fragrant tree will provide shade for Israel at God's command, for God will guide Israel in joy by the light of his glory, with the mercy and saving justice which come from him. Okay, that's the end of 5. 4. Oh, I read 4 and 5. There was no subtitle, so 4 and 5 on this one. Then we have one more, and then that's it. 2 pages long. Well, that's it on that one. Okay. I don't know what else to say to it, right? Yes, it is again. All I can remind people of is that God never existed like this, in a way that whoever wrote this down is viewing God, advertising God. That's advertisement. So sad, right? Mm. Is that still going on in our churches? Yeah, in any church. Is it truly about um, growing closer to our Creator's heart, to mind, and really grow and develop and evolve as we grow as a human being, as well physically, spiritually, uh, closer to God? Or are we just kind of running with the mill? Very shallow devotion, very shallow prayers, very shallow water, where we don't have to worry that we have to swim ourselves. Walking on water. Yes, we're going to get into the New Testament. All right. That's it. That's all I have to say on this one. May Heavenly Parent bless, protect you, guide you, embrace you with love. Eldridge, my dearest brother in faith. Let's keep praying, and I will talk to you all another time.